Back in 2018, Moscow, Idaho was rated one of the top places in the nation to raise a family. Does that still hold true today? If you're a parent and you're wondering what it's like to raise your kids in Moscow, Idaho, this video is for you. I'm Chris Carpenter. I've lived in Moscow for over a decade, and today I want to show you what raising a family here actually looks like from the perspective of someone who's raising their kids here right now. When we moved from LA, the top things that we considered were education options, activities and extracurriculars, the social opportunities, and community safety. We also looked at employment in Moscow. We won't cover that one in this video because we have a dedicated video talking about the employment landscape. If you want to check it out, I'll link it for you over here. All right, let's start with the big one, education. If you're a parent, this is probably one of the first things you're trying to figure out. One of the most surprising things about this town is how much variety you get in such a small rural place. There are private schools like Logos School, which has a national reputation among classical Christian schools, and St. Mary's Catholic School. For families who homeschool, Moscow has a ton of options. There are lots of co-ops and community resources that make homeschooling a very viable, supported path here. The public schools and charter schools through Moscow's school district also perform consistently well for a town this size. Whatever the flavor of education you're looking for, this is one of the areas that Moscow really thrives, even when you exit high school age and move on to college. We all know that higher education is right here in town via the University of Idaho, which focuses on agriculture, engineering, and law. New St. Andrews College adds a unique academic option with a classical Christian liberal arts degree and master's and pastoral programs. But something that's easily missed is that there are actually more options if we broaden our view to the surrounding region. Just across the border in Pullman, only 15 minutes away, Washington State University is known for its veterinary and business programs. And down in the Lewiston-Clarkson Valley, LCSC is particularly renowned for its nursing and health science programs. So within a 30-mile radius, there are 4 different higher education options with a variety of programs. One of the best things about that fact is that it means you can keep your family closer together for longer if that's important to you. Moscow gives families the ability to customize their education just about however they please. The downside is that job opportunities are pretty limited. So in order to find a solid job that aligns with their degree, a lot of students end up moving away after college. So let's talk about what your family's actually going to do here, because a nice house and good schools are great, but what about the weekends, after school, and summer breaks? If you've seen some of my other videos, you probably already know by design, Moscow lends itself to family-friendly, in-town, outdoor recreation. So that's a big bonus right off the bat. But going a level deeper, here's what I'll say. If you get plugged into a group, you'll quickly realize there's a lot more going on than you might expect from a town this size. There are groups here for almost everything. Soccer, wrestling, theater, dance, BJJ, piano lessons, biking, ice skating, hockey. If your kid shows interest in something, there's probably someone here already doing it and a community to connect with. The challenge isn't whether opportunities exist, it's just about knowing where to look. A lot of these groups operate through word of mouth, or they're tied to specific networks like local churches, schools, or friend circles. What I've seen over and over is that once a family finds their people, whether that's through sports, homeschool groups, church, or a shared hobby, things start to click. The calendar fills up, the kids are busy, and you start building that sense of we belong here. It's not necessarily the drop in and go setup like in some other bigger cities, but if you're willing to reach out, make connections, dig a little deeper, there's plenty to do. And what I've found in that, even deeper relationships are built. Then the next question, especially if you've got kids who are a little older, is who will they be doing their activities with? Will they actually make friends here? And will you? Moscow's kind of a mixed bag in this department. It's not one of those places where everyone's the same. There's a broad range of people here, families from all sorts of backgrounds, worldviews, and parenting styles. On the bright side, that means you can find your people. There's almost a built-in level of accountability, which is something that we've grown to appreciate more and more. In a town of 25,000 people, it's hard to go anywhere without seeing someone you know. And that helps to inspire a sense of safety. It's just knowing that if your older kids want to go to a park, there's a good chance that someone else you've met will be there too. The challenging side to Moscow's social scene is that if you're not a socializer, finding the right people and breaking into the local community might take some time. Moscow's a place where it's pretty easy for kids to find a crew and for parents to find a connection too, if you're open to getting involved. I've mentioned before that since you see someone you know pretty much anytime you leave your house, it inspires a sense of safety. I want to dig a little deeper into that because if you're moving your family to a new town, that question, is this place actually safe, is always floating in the back of your mind. Here's what I can tell you. From both data and experience, Moscow is one of those rare places where people still let their kids ride their bike to school, walk to the park alone, or play outside until the streetlights come on. Now, obviously, bad things can happen anywhere. And we all know that 2022 brought a tragedy that made national headlines. We've got a video on that if you want more information. I'll link it for you over here. But if you take a look at what people who live here have to say, and historic crime rates, which have been below national averages, you'll get a better picture of the actual community atmosphere beyond what the headlines might lead you to believe. The best way I think I can put it is that Moscow is realistically safe in the way parents actually care about. Safe to live, safe to grow up, safe to breathe a little as your kids get older. And that feeling, that trust in your community, it's one of the biggest reasons people choose to raise their families here. So what's the verdict? Is Moscow, Idaho a great place to raise a family? For a lot of families, yeah, it really is. You've got strong schools, real community, a long list of ways to stay active and plugged in, and a level of safety that's getting harder to find in today's world. And if any of this has you curious and you're trying to figure out if Moscow's a good fit for your family, I'd be more than happy to have a one-on-one conversation. Whether you're planning a visit or just sorting through your options, even if the answer ends up being, no, Moscow isn't for us, I'm here as a local who knows the ropes and wants to help you reach the right decision. And if you're already thinking, okay, where in town would we actually want to land? Good news, we have a video coming on exactly that. When it's finished, I'll link it for you right up here.